Well, hello, welcome to Coffee with Carlos this month. We're here with our friends from Pi Insurance, Mike. We'll give it a few more minutes just to let everyone in, and we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining. Getting a lot of people coming in, so thank you
Yeah,
for supporting.
see people
Awesome.
pouring in here. It's great. Give it another minute or two before we get started. Give people some time to join.
All right, you can go ahead, Emma.
I was going to say, it looks like the attendance is slowing down a little bit, so we'll go ahead and get started to respect everyone's time here. So thank you all for joining us today for our Coffee with Carlos this month. We will be chatting with Pi this month to learn about their commercial auto and workers' comp policies. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Just to go over our agenda briefly here, we'll just do some quick welcome and introductions, get to know who we are. Then I'll go over some Glacier updates just to let you know any new features we have on the terminal, what you can expect to see coming. Then we're going to pass it over to Mike from Pi, who's going to talk a bit about commercial auto offerings and workers' comp. And then at the end, we'll have some time for any questions and closing remarks. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to pop those in the chat or the Q&A section, and we will be watching those and kind of trying to monitor those as they come in here. All right, so for welcome and introductions, I'll just introduce myself first. So my name's Emma Williams. I'm a customer success manager here with Bold Penguin. I may be your customer success manager. So I've been with Bold Penguin since 2021. I've been a customer success manager for about a year and a half now. And I love working with agents and making sure they understand the terminal and are getting the most use that they can out of it. And so with me here from Bold Penguin, we have Carlos. He is our small commercial insurance specialist. Carlos, do you want to say anything about yourself?
In the next slide, I'll go
Oh,
into.
next slide. Okay, perfect. And then we also have Mike Hickey from Pi. He is the director of commercial auto with Pi. Mike, do you want to say anything to introduce yourself?
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike. I've been with Pi about 4 years. Prior to joining Pi, I lived most of my life in the insurance business as a retailer in various forms. So familiar with the seat you're in and the problems you're trying to solve, and that's kind of how I found my way over to Pi.
Great. Thank you. All right, and then some more information on Carlos to kind of give you an idea of his background and expertise.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emma. So, for those who don't know, I am Carlos. So, I am honored with having a webinar named after me. That's amazing. A little bit about me. I started my insurance journey at Farmers Insurance in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So if we have anybody from Farmers here, make sure to say hi in the comments. Started out in claims. I did that for 2 years. The best and the worst job, as you know, but it was a great experience. After that, I promoted up to commercial underwriting, also at Farmers. Got tired of the snow in Michigan, and I decided to move down here to Florida. So I live in Orlando. Here Farmers is not here, so I had to go work for Geico, and I did that for about 2 years. So I sold all auto policies. So to be here with Pi and talking about commercial auto is amazing because I just had so much experience with autos over at Geico. My last role was at Chubb, so I'm coming from Chubb. I was a digital underwriter over there and also working on small commercial. And I was also training artificial intelligence on insurance. So it was a really interesting experience at Chubb. Here at Bold Penguin, I've been with the company since about a year and a half now. So time is just flying. And I'm really excited that you guys have joined us for our coffee chat.
Great, thank you, Carlos. All right, so next we're going to go over some Glacier updates. So this is just kind of some updates about Bold Penguin for the terminal to let you know what is going on. So our most recent update that we have is our carrier bridge link for ineligible or failed quotes. So in the past, if you got an ineligible or failed quote, you were just kind of stuck there with that without really having access to get more information about why or what else you can do with it. So now, when available by the carrier, we offer a review with carrier button when a quote is declined or ineligible. So you're now able to click that button, continue on to the carrier to get more information about why that quote was declined, possibly download a declination to take it to excess markets, and just kind of have a little more visibility as to why that quote was declined and what you can do to maybe try to still get another quote that would satisfy the same need. And then we also have our appointments page redesign live. And the last coffee with Carlos, that was something that we had coming down the pipeline. And as of now, it is all live and set. So it's just much easier now to look at your appointments page, see which ones are still processing, which ones are approved, which ones are available. It's just a much more clear way to look at that all. That was kind of confusing before, so it should be a lot clearer now with the new page redesign. And then I also just wanted to go over our feedback option. We really value agent feedback a lot. A lot of the features on the terminal were built based on agent feedback. So we do have this agency feedback form. If you ever do want to provide any feedback, anything you'd like to see differently, good or bad, we would love to hear it. All right, and then since we are meeting with Pi today, I also just wanted to briefly go over how to get appointed with Pi. So Pi is offering direct appointments, and they are looking to expand their agency network. So I have linked to the page with Pi where you can go to start that appointment request. Again, that's something that at Bold Penguin, we can't really have a lot of pull there, but you can work directly with Pi to request that appointment. They do have some appointment considerations. So for their minimum workers' compensation commitment, it is going to be a $50,000 annual bond premium with 5 monthly submissions. And for commercial auto, it is also $50,000, but with 3 monthly submissions. So just something to keep in mind when you're considering applying for that appointment with Pi. All right, and then from here, I'm going to pass it over to Mike from Pi to talk about some of their offerings.
Awesome. Thanks, Emma.
Sure.
Hey, everybody. Again, I'm Mike, Director of Commercial Auto here at Pi, and really excited to meet with you guys today. We launched our commercial auto product a few years ago and have been taking a slow and cautious approach to the market, making sure that we, worked out the kinks in our own internal processes and systems. And we're at a place now where we have a lot of faith in what we've built and are really ready to attack the market and go big. So that's why we're here today. Carlos, did you have some topics to run through?
I sure did. Thank you so much. So for those agents who are not familiar with Pi, can you give us a little background about, where you guys are headquartered, how long you guys have been in the business, just a little bit of information about Pi?
Yeah, absolutely. So Pi's been around now 7 years. Our headquarters is out in Denver, Colorado, but we are a distributed company. We are almost entirely remote. We have a beautiful office in downtown Denver that I think about 5 or 6 people go into every day, even though we have about 400 employees total. So we call ourselves pioneers. We're spread out throughout the country. We've got folks, in Miami, and we actually have an employee in Alaska. So yeah, we are everywhere. Um, our original focus was workers' compensation. We started as a workers' comp MGA, and I guess it was about 3 or 4 years ago we made the transition into becoming a full stack carrier, acquired a couple of our own writing companies, and then about the same time we launched our commercial auto product. Um, Carlos, you and I were talking just a minute before we started about the Come Auto product and our tie-ins with Ford. With our commercial auto product, we're actually still an MGA, writing on the American Road Insurance Company paper, which is owned by Ford Credit. Um, it is A-rated, so if you or your customers have any specific requirements, like as an agency practice, you don't write anything that's not A-rated, or if your customers have a need for an excess liability policy or an umbrella, they should be able to place that pretty easily given the rating of the paper that we're using.
And I did notice that you guys are willing and able to write monoline commercial auto. Is that correct?
Yes. We would, to be clear, we would love to write both your comp and your auto. But there's no requirement. If it's a fit for one, great. If you like our price or product for one, but not the other, that's okay. Absolutely no requirements. We don't even offer a multi-policy discount because we want to remain strong in being able to offer them on a monoline basis. Um, and to that end, I would also add that our appetites don't necessarily align. So, if you're familiar with us as a work comp carrier and you think maybe there are classes that you wouldn't think of for auto or vice versa, just know that they don't overlap, they don't align, and that also was pretty intentional. We wanted to be able to serve the market where we feel like we have an advantage and where we feel like we can be most helpful.
Got it. And could you elaborate on what do you feel is like your niche customer segment, that the customers you're targeting for the commercial auto?
Yeah. So I guess at a base level, we do require at least 2 power units. So any single vehicle policies are not anything that's currently an appetite. I would emphasis on currently. That doesn't mean we won't do it eventually. It doesn't mean we won't do it in a month. It just means right now. So we need at least 2 vehicles on the policy. Most of our success that we have seen is in the like artisan contractor space. So you've got those, plumbers, electricians, your services like janitorial and lawn care, landscaping. Those are the areas where we've seen a lot of success. Also, surprisingly, a ton of interest in pest control services, which is a class that's done really well for us. I guess there are a lot of carriers that hesitate for whatever reason. I imagine it's probably due to the chemical exposure or whatever, but we don't have a problem with it, so we can take those all day long.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then can you expand on the states that you guys are currently writing in?
Yeah, absolutely. So current states where we're live are Arizona, Illinois, Indiana, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Texas. Um, we've got some other states coming online this year, some imminently. We'll have formal announcements when those states go live, but we do very much intend to expand our footprint beyond where we are currently.
And I was hoping for a teaser.
Um,
Perfect.
we have a couple of questions from the chat if I could pop those in.
Absolutely.
For the commercial auto coverage, do you do any ride sharing class or non-emergency medical transportation for monoline auto?
Great question. So at this time, we can't offer any type of passenger transportation, whether that's for hire or not. I mean, if they're transporting their own employees, totally fine. But if their customers are, if they're in the business of transporting customers, basically, we wouldn't be able to offer it. Again, at this time, that doesn't mean never.
Is that for both ride share and non-emergency medical
Yeah,
transportation?
yeah, that would
Okay.
apply to both. So rideshare, like Uber, Lyft, that
Yeah.
sort of thing, that would be out. Yeah, just due to that
Okay.
passenger transport.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Got it, got it. And then can you talk about the types of vehicles you're not looking to write?
Yeah. There's not really a ton that we're not looking to write. Along the lines of some of those previous questions, one of the things that is currently out of appetite is if a vehicle has capacity to carry 15 or more passengers, because that generally indicates that they're in the business of transporting people. Our current limitation on gross vehicle weight is 26,000 pounds. But again, want to emphasize that's just today. That could change next week. We're constantly looking at ways to expand our appetite, and even that has been something that we are considering. So yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. And then talk to me about cargo insurance. Obviously, the plumber, the electrician, the HVAC person, they're carrying equipment within the vehicle. Can you talk about coverages for that specific equipment? The example that I had in my mind was for food trucks. Obviously, those stoves can get expensive. So, can you schedule those items on the policy, or do you offer sufficient coverage? BP.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So if it's equipment that is specialized and permanently attached, so in the example of the food truck, if they have a kitchen built out inside and they've got refrigeration and stoves and fryers and that sort of thing, as long as that's scheduled as permanently attached equipment, we can provide coverage for that. Contents like contractors' tools, that sort of thing is typically going to be better served by an inland marine policy, and our policy form wouldn't extend to that. Same goes for inventory. They would need like an installation floater, which you can get from, I mean, gosh, there's a million markets for that. So it's pretty easy to get.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it has to be permanently affixed to the actual vehicle. And you guys wouldn't offer the cargo insurance. That would be more of a GL endorsement on the
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But if it's permanently attached, like one thing we see a lot is a lot of our contractors' vehicles are oftentimes sold by the manufacturer as like a cab chassis. So, Ford, for example, they'll sell a cab chassis, which means it doesn't have a bed on it. It might, by the time it gets to the customer, it might look like a dump truck, but when it rolled off of Ford's assembly line, it had no dump bed, for
yeah,
example.
yeah.
That sort of thing we can absolutely cover if it's permanently attached, if it's part of the vehicle, then it can be included.
Perfect, perfect. I do want to encourage questions. So thank you for submitting a lot of the questions to the comments. So if you guys have any questions out there, please feel free to post it. Towards the end, we will also open it up to anybody who wants to ask questions. There is a speak option, so we'll let you speak to Mike directly and ask your questions as well. So my follow-up to that, Mike, will be about towing. Obviously, towing is a big issue. I've been stranded on the road myself a few times and had to call tow. So do you offer a dispatch service, or is it based more on reimbursement?
Yeah. So our setup currently is that it's based on reimbursement, and that in a lot of ways was a strategic move because that puts the customer in control of who's coming out to tow their vehicle. So they just collect receipts. They can select the limit, or you as the agent can select the limit when you're going through the quoting process, confirm that with underwriting at time of binding. But it is handled currently on a reimbursement basis.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, my other question for you is, as far as limits like bodily injury, that sort of stuff, where do you start at? Where do you, what are your maxes for those type of limits?
Yeah. We can go as low as $100,000 combined single limit. We don't do split limits on our commercial auto policy. We go up to $1 million for liability. We offer all the standard coverages you're used to and probably need to see. Your uninsured motorist, PIP where required by law, medical payments. I think MedPay we go up to 5 or 10,000, but adequate standard limits that you're going to see from most markets.
Got it, got it. Katrina, one of our agents, she was asking, um, do you write currently? I believe you already went over the states, but do you write in Ohio or Illinois? What is her question?
We are live in Illinois. We are not live in Ohio. I almost said yet, but
Maybe soon.
stay tuned.
And we will send out a document with this call after that outlines exactly which state everything's available into.
Gotcha, gotcha. Mike, I know that you're the head of commercial auto. Are you able to talk about workers' comp and the offerings there?
I could touch on it. I'm not an expert,
Gotcha.
but I know a little bit about it just from being here for a while.
Got you. You said that the classes are not necessarily aligned. Can you just speak on some of the classes that you would write for workers' comp?
Yeah. So one of our biggest classes for workers' compensation is 7219, like truckers, right? It's performed very well for us, and we're happy to write it. Unfortunately, it's not a fit for our commercial auto products at this time because we're not in the business of like transportation for that yet. But trucking would be an example of one that we can write the comp on, just not the auto. We have availability on 95% of class codes, and we're live in 38 states for our work comp product. So we have a very, very broad offering there.
Got you. And then talk to me about workers' comp audits. Do you guys audit policies at the end of the year, or how does that work with Pi?
Yeah, yeah, we audit. We have a great little audit team, and are plugging through them. I've seen a lot of praise of our audit process and our audit team, and how far it's come.
Gotcha, gotcha. At Farmers, I was actually one of the people that actually got the audit reports back, and I would update the payrolls. And I was like, man, just with the changes that would happen in the premium. So, pretty cool. We do have a question from one of our agents. The agent was asking, our top four commercial auto carriers that we write with are Geico, Berkshire, Auto Owners, and Travelers. They want to know if your prices are competitive with these agencies, with these carriers.
Yeah, I would say that we have found ourselves to be competitive against virtually every carrier that we've come up against. That doesn't mean that we're going to always be the cheapest, and we don't want to always be the cheapest. The way that we approach pricing the risk is that we underwrite and price every risk individually. So we look at the unique risk characteristics of that exact submission, whether it's zip code or radius, driver quality, years in business, years of continuous coverage, loss history. And you could have two risks that look very similar and get very, very different pricing because our model, our algorithm identifies differences in them. The best way to, I guess, like find your groove with us is just to submit often. The more you submit, the better it'll get.
Gotcha, gotcha. I do have another question for you. In reading your literature, I read that the quotes are usually 24-hour turnaround. Do you offer same-day coverage, or is it always, you have to submit it, then wait for underwriting to review it?
Yeah. So we can absolutely turn things around same day. If you have something that is a rush, that's okay. We don't have a problem with same day binds, and we can even backdate for commercial auto.
Backdate, I love it. You usually don't hear that a lot, is
Yeah.
backdating.
Yeah, again, that's today. Doesn't mean it'll be the same way in 6 months, but as of today, we are open to backdating.
Got you. What are your I remember when I was at Geico, we would quote the policy, then we would run MVR, include reports. Just wondering what's that process like on your end? Do you provide the price? Let's just say it's a 24-hour turnaround. So, and I'm a plumber as an example, right? Do you then run MVR include reports within 30 days, or how does that process work?
Yeah. So the way it works is you as the agent will go on, you'll submit through our portal. Our portal allows you to select the coverages you want, add vehicles, add drivers. We actually have this really nifty tool where you can bulk upload VINs. I tested it one time with 104 VINs.
Oh,
Hit submit. It pulled all of the gross vehicle weight, original cost, new, year, make, model for all 104 in like a minute. It was incredible. And then you'll select your coverages, and it will give you a preliminary price. And if the price looks good, you hit submit. From there, it goes to underwriting, who will take a quick look at it and send it back to you, make any adjustments that they feel are necessary. If what you see at that point is a price that your customer likes and you think they'll move forward with, all you have to do is ask for a bindable quote. And it's no obligation. We'll run the MVRs, finalize the price, and give you something that is a price at which we will issue the policy. We don't charge for MVRs. We ask that you make sure that it's something that's sellable before asking us to run the MVR, since we're bearing the cost of that. But I do want to emphasize that we run the MVRs before binding the policy. So like I've seen examples in the past where a carrier runs them afterwards, whether it's in a week or a month, and then your customer gets an updated premium. They go, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. And that's not our process. We run them before binding.
gotcha, gotcha. What about adding, let's just say I'm the plumber again and I added an employee, 6 months down the line. How easy, how hard is it to add new drivers to the policy?
Yeah, super easy. It's as easy as sending an email. You email it into commercialauto@pieinsurance.com, and our team will handle the process for you.
Gotcha, gotcha. Talk about personal use. Obviously, we know a lot of our entrepreneurs, they'll be the real estate agent, and after they finish their showings, they'll stop by Publix. So can you talk about the mixed use and your capabilities there?
Yeah. It would be naive to think that these customers aren't using their vehicles for personal use, right? I mean, it's the nature of small business. I grew up in a family that owned a couple of small businesses, and the vehicles were registered to the businesses, and everybody drove them. We know the reality of it. So some element of personal use is fine. Now, if it's one of those where the business buys a vehicle and throws it to the 16-year-old, that might be an issue. Like where it's strictly personal use, we're trying to avoid that, but some degree of personal use is totally fine.
Got you. All right. That's thank you for the answer. I know that's usually iffy subject with commercial auto, but thank you for answering it. My other question is around repairs. So let's just say someone does file a claim. Do you guys have a network of shops you work with, or is it same thing on a reimbursement basis, or do you have the insured has to get like three? Usually, whenever we did it at Geico, the insured would, if they wanted to go to their own shop, right? We had our own shops that we work with, but if they wanted to go there to their own shop, they would have to submit a couple different quotes to kind of get the average. How does Pi work in a claim situation?
Yeah, we do not have a direct repair. What's it called? DRP, direct repair partners. I forget exactly what the acronym is. So you take it to the shop you're choosing, and we'll work with them to get your vehicle sorted. To that, I would also add that we have this wonderful little endorsement available called the OEM endorsement. Something that we see a lot on personal auto policies. I know I have it on my own personal auto policy where if I'm in an accident, um, because I have the OEM endorsement, all of the parts where available that are replaced will be replaced using OEM parts instead of like, kind, and quality. Because like, kind, and quality oftentimes are fine, but sometimes it's not, and you can see the difference. With this optional OEM endorsement, your customers will have access to actual OEM parts in the event of a covered repair.
And since you touched on endorsements, can you briefly just run through some of the endorsements you guys have available for your policies?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer the standard, scheduled additional insured and waiver of subrogation. We also have what we call our broad form endorsement, and it is optional, but I would encourage you to include it on every submission, especially for the contractors and service classes. The broad form endorsement includes blanket additional insured, blanket waiver of subrogation, primary non-contributory language, and then some additional coverage extensions for like vehicle wrap coverage for if they have one of those vinyl wraps on their van or truck. There's a little bit of coverage there for glass that puts them in a better position if they have a glass claim. Broad form endorsement has a ton of value to it.
Perfect. We do have a question from one of our agents, Xavier. The question is, entrepreneurs starting out with commercial vehicle, are they accepted? So basically, do you accept new ventures?
New ventures, yeah, we can take new ventures. What we look for, if it is a new venture, is experience in the business. If they're just, hey, they just got their license and they want to go buy a commercial vehicle, our underwriters might have a little pause, but new ventures broadly are acceptable.
Perfect, perfect. You have anything else, Emma?
I can think of, I feel like we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna open it up to agents. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask live to Mike, you're more than welcome to raise your hand. There should be a feature there to raise your hand, and then we'll let you talk, or you could type in your questions.
One
Mike, wait, go ahead.
Yeah, one question I would have for the agents who are here, we just talked about our MVR process, and I'm always curious to hear how that stacks up against what you're used to in the marketplace. Are you being charged for MVRs from other carriers? Do you have carriers who are expecting you to provide the MVRs? And where do you typically see MVRs run in the process if it is the carrier pulling the MVRs?
That's a
If there's
great
anybody
question.
that would be willing to answer that, I would really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to answer live, that'll be great. You can raise your hand or you can put it in the Q&A section. While we wait, Mike, I know that trucking is a big thing. Can you talk about the types of trucks you would be willing to write? Do you do local deliveries, long haul, 18-wheelers, cargoes? Like, what about that aspect?
Yeah, so for work comp, I think our max radius is 800 miles. For commercial auto, we're not writing trucking or delivery or anything like that again yet. Doesn't mean we won't, but just not at this time. Um, the first area that we will probably step into is like wholesale, where it's somebody who makes their own goods and is delivering it to a retailer to another one of their locations. That sort of thing is okay. um, if you have someone who they use their vehicle to go from job site to job site, and then they park it and they do a job and then they drive to the next one, that's really the way we want you to think about our commercial auto product. I've had a few partners describe it, use the term business auto product. And I think that's a great way of thinking of it.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. If you guys have any questions for Mike, please feel free to raise your hand, or you could type it in the question and answer section. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Heather was asking Mike, where can she find an appetite guide? We do have a handout, Heather, that Mike provided, so we'll be more than happy to send it out. Do you have anything else, any other resources, maybe on your website, Mike, where you have this information?
Yeah, we have some great resources on the website about commercial auto. If you go to pi.com or piinsurance.com/partners, there's some really handy resources for you there. If you enter the partner portal, we have an appetite checker specifically for workers' compensation. It's not available yet for com auto, but we're working on it. Again, one of those not today things, but soon. Um, but yeah, we have a lot of resources if you just visit our website. And like Carlos said, we have some handouts that we'll send out that contain, I think, a lot of useful information.
I do have another question I was just thinking about. What about your radius? So let's just say I am a contractor. What's the furthest out I can go? Can I travel to a state where you don't write? Like, for example, I'm in Florida. I know you don't write in Florida, but let's just say, Illinois, right? You write in Illinois. Can I drive the vehicle to Michigan, for example, to do a job? How would that work?
Yeah. So our max radius for regular use is 200 miles. So if they're on a regular basis staying inside of 200 miles, it's okay. Occasionally, traveling outside of that 200-mile radius is also okay. What we don't want is someone who, regularly is driving 800 miles to get jobs done. We've seen that a few times in some of the Western states where you have someone who services like energy type accounts, whether it's windmills or oil wells or that sort of thing, because they can be so spread out. So our max radius is 200 miles, but again, that's just for like regular everyday use, which is pretty far, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and usually should cover, a good radius for that small business. You mentioned fleet vehicles is really your specialty here. Can you talk about your max vehicles you would be willing to have on one policy?
Yeah, we can accommodate up to 60 at new business issuance.
60. Oh, that's
60.
awesome.
So within the portal, 60 units. Turnaround time, we always say is 24 hours, but if you send something in that big, it's probably going to take a little bit longer, and I hope you'd understand why. Um, and our system is also built to accommodate additional vehicles by endorsement. So we accept 60 at new business, but we've actually built it so that you can squeeze another, I think it's like another 20 in there by endorsement. So if you have an account that's right at the threshold, and we don't want you to worry about submitting it to us, binding it with us, and then us not being able to grow with the account, we can go up to 80 by endorsement.
Got you. Let me ask you another question. We do have these luxury real estate agents, that drive the Ferraris and Maseratis down here in Miami. What are your exotic vehicle limitations?
Yeah.
Fun question for you. It's just a fun question.
Yeah, it is a fun question. We got a submission not that long ago for a group just outside of Chicago that had, I think, like 3 Ferraris and 2 Lamborghini Uruses, and had a couple of Porsches on there. And unfortunately, when it's that many, and it was all that was on the policy. Everything was a very high value vehicle. That sort of thing is something that we probably want to stay away from. But if they occasionally have the nice vehicle thrown in there for an executive, that's okay. Our max value per our underwriting guidelines is 200,000. But again, we just don't want to see that 90% of the vehicles are, $200,000 vehicles or something like that. The occasional one thrown in there is totally fine. And if you see one of those that, has a ton of Ferraris and Porsches and Lamborghinis, just let me know if they're hiring, because I would love to get an executive vehicle like that for myself.
Awesome, awesome. A couple more questions that I can think of. Can you talk about your auto symbols and what you guys are offering?
Yeah. So when you submit online, going through the portal, it will default to symbol 7. We have a little checkbox for 8 and 9, hired and non-owned. So it defaults to scheduled. You can select hired and non-owned, and you can also select any auto, symbol 1. We really don't have a lot of restrictions around symbol 1. We obviously want to make sure that all vehicles that are owned are scheduled and that we know about them. If we're going to offer symbol 1, because if there was a vehicle we didn't know about, we'd still have to provide coverage for it. So we do want to know about them, but we do offer symbol 1, 7, and 8 and 9.
Gotcha. And then food trucks. Do you guys have any? My other question was around food trucks. Obviously, food can go to waste. Maybe the refrigerator went out. Do you have any coverage for that sort of stuff as well?
Yeah, love food trucks. Actually had it's a personal story. I got married last year, and at our wedding, we had 3 food trucks come in and do all the catering instead of having a buffet or a plated dish. So I'm very fond of food trucks. Our stance on food trucks is, first off, we write them, and we write them well, and we write them often. Our partners have really submitted a lot of food trucks to us, and we've had a lot of success with it. There are a couple of nuances I would call out. One, our limit for permanently attached equipment is typically 25% of the vehicle's value, but we do not have that restriction if it's a food truck. So like Carlos, you were talking earlier about, having a kitchen, right? Like that equipment can be pretty expensive. The truck itself may have cost 30 grand, and they might have $50,000 worth of equipment. Totally fine. We don't have that limitation. To answer your first question though, our product is not a bop on wheels. So it doesn't include coverage for spoilage or signage, or, they might have tables and chairs that they bring with them, that sort of thing. Our coverage doesn't extend to that. So if they're looking for a cost-effective way of covering it, or if they are having trouble finding, a way of getting adequate coverage for the vehicle and the permanently attached equipment, I think we're a really great market.
Perfect. One other question, as far as loss runs, obviously, do you want them upon submission? How do you work with loss runs?
Yeah. So you have the ability to indicate what losses have occurred when you're going through the submission process in the portal. We will ask for loss runs. If you have them, when you're doing the submission, please attach them. It'll, just save a little back and forth. If you're in a rush, give us everything you got so that we can respond to you as quickly and accurately as possible.
Perfect. Well, those were my questions, Mike. If any agents have any other questions, please feel free to raise your hand or post them to the Q&A. We'll give them a few seconds here. Anything else you want to add, Mike? Anything I didn't ask you that our agents should know about?
One little secret that we're finding out, an area where we're really, really competitive, that you would want your agents to know, is that like unarmed security services or patrol services have been doing really, really well for us. So if you have a need for that from a commercial auto standpoint, I don't think we're a market for it for work comp, but for your commercial auto, you'll have those patrol vehicles that just go sit in a parking lot and they observe and report. We've had a tremendous amount of success with that. So keep us in mind. Apparently it's hard to place in the market right now, but we're fine.
Yeah. One situation I had earlier today was snow plowing. Do you offer snow plowing as an
Yeah.
option?
Yeah. Given that we are active in a lot of the northern and Midwestern states, we sort of have to accommodate it. It'd be silly to think that, lawn care in Illinois isn't plowing in the winter because they certainly don't have any grass to cut. So, yeah, snow plow's fine.
Perfect. All right, well, that is it from my end. Emma, do you have anything on your end?
I don't have anything on my end. I'm not seeing any questions come in. Let's see if we have anything else. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything else coming in. Looks like that's about it. I will be sending out a copy of this presentation, both the recording and the deck, as well as some documents from Pi that kind of outline the topics we've discussed today for you to view later.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, Mike, I do want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board. Where can agents get a hold of you? Do you have an email or any way people can reach out to you if they have any further questions?
Yeah, the best way to get me is to email commercialauto@pieinsurance.com. It doesn't go straight to me. It's a delegated inbox, but I promise you I am looking at that thing nonstop because I want to know everything that comes across. I check that probably 10 times more frequently than I check my personal email. So email there and I promise we'll address your question.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike. It's been an absolute pleasure and great learning more about Pi and the products offered. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, we will be sending out a recording of this to you here shortly, as well as all the handouts that Pi was willing to offer to us for us to share. Thanks again, Mike, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
No
Thanks,
problem.
everyone.